Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, Nayma Chamchoun, nice having you online today.
Thank you for having me.
So for the podcast, one student, one book, one author. We're very glad to have a great poet from Britain, a Moroccan by virtue of ancestral lineage. She's a self-taught writer and poet. Writing is done a lot by influencing cultural duality. She's also a very strong female voice in the diaspora community. She's very active, talking to people about mental health and taboos about mental health and their ancestral communities. She's also an active member of London Vibrant Poetry and Spoken Word Community. Matter of fact, she's an international poetry community and has performed several of her jobs in an open mic event, including the Greenfell 5 years anniversary. And she has had her work featured in West Wiltshire Radio and BBC Radio London several times. To have you on our podcast today, and I'd like to ask you, what drives you? What's your passion?
Sorry?
It's nice having you on our podcast today.
Yes.
So we have the podcast, one student, one book, and one author. And like we are preparing for a pre-tour moment, and the pre-tour has the vision of installing a student-led book club all over Africa. And we have issues of young people not reading books this time, young people who are especially in Africa, where young people are, some of them would like to read, but they can't afford a book. Some of them would like to be online, build better rapport and connections with authors from foreign across the foreign boundaries, but they don't have an opportunity to be online. And most of them too will also like to um, read one book and share a review, but this has not been possible because of their location or their level of exposure in life. So I am very happy that people like you are so committed to in making sure that the greater number of the population, the world's population, the young population, have an opportunity and inspiration to stay focused the book way. So I like to ask, what drives you? What's your passion? But before you answer that, I'd like you to tell me about you. Tell all of us about you.
Well, as I said, I'm of Moroccan origin. My parents immigrated to the UK in the 60s. I was born here. And I suppose, my upbringing was probably traditionally an African upbringing. So I guess I'm a bit of a blend of British and Moroccan culture. And I try to express that viewpoint in my work.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I believe that so far so good. You because it seems you're very interested about the girl child. Because looking at your bar, I was so impressed, and so far so good. I believe that from your investigations, your experience, your exposure, what would you think will be the way forward to see how we can get the whole world to imbibe and install and inculcate the reading attitude and culture in every global child? What do you think?
Well, I think in order to spark that love, I suppose, of reading, is that we need to make sure that children have access to this. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine in Morocco, and I explained to him that I regularly go to my library and get books to read, but he was explaining to me that they don't have that kind of access in Morocco where you can go to a library and get books, and if you want to get a
Sure,
book,
sure.
you have to pay for it. So I think what
Yeah.
is needed, certainly in Africa, is we need to make literature and reading more accessible to people, irrespective of your financial background.
Well, talking about reading, before the end of the show, I remember the last time we had a poet live session, we were able to make a content or a poetry from some of the content of your book. I must say you have a very nice content because me myself, I've not been privileged to read your works, apart from the fact that we've been trying to build rapport and get to know ourselves, and also get to I understand by my experience and my dealings with you that you're a very good poet. You're a very good one, and your poetry is just so wonderful. It's capable of building the inspiration, the motivation for the school system. Because what we're looking at right now is to build a third force through our authors and poets network, so we can influence not just the student, also the teacher, to be an example, to not just an example, to be a figure, and for the purpose of humanity, for humanity to soar, for humanity to prosper. So the teachers themselves also have a responsibility too. So that reminds me, before the end of this show, I'd like to have you read from the poetry we did live the last time. So back to question number one, I like to ask, what's your passion? What drives you? Because I understand there are tsunami obstacles on meeting your new set of readers, getting an opportunity to also work with other poetries and authors. I understand there are tsunami obstacles, but for you, it always seems obstacle is the way. So you tell me, what drives you? What keeps you going? Hello, Naima. I'm sure I didn't lost you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm still waiting on you. I asked, did you hear what I said?
I said, yeah, I did. I said, for me, I think probably what drives me is that, I want to provide a bigger platform for female voices, and I'm interested in breaking cultural taboos around certain things like mental health in our ancestral communities, and about giving women in these communities a strong platform and voice.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you're always talking about women and the girls. So what happens to the young lads, the boys?
Well, the boys as well, obviously, but I mean, obviously, in certain cultures, women are not
Yeah,
given
are
a
more
voice.
dissatisfied. True. Women are more dissatisfied. That's true. That's very
I mean,
true.
if we look at certain cultures, I mean, or in places where women are not even allowed access to education.
Very true. Very, very true. In your platform, your person, you like to be an extra hands to such women in the world, and that's just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, because from my own experience, I was brought up in a very restrictive culture myself, and and I just found it very difficult to get heard as a woman, because it was always dismissed as sort of that women don't know what they're talking about, or they're too emotional, or it was information was always prioritized as a male domain.
Yeah, sure. I do
And I just
understand
think
because
that we have so much to learn from each other, men and women. And,
yeah,
instead of restricting each other, we should be empowering each other.
beautiful. So at this point, I'd like you to talk about your work, your books, and your poetry.
Well, my book is called COVID, The Wordy Wilds of a Mind Under Lockdown. And it is a
Okay.
cultural fusion poetry collection, which I suppose explores themes of identity and duality, feminism, racism, and sort of world events, really. And I think, I wanted to explore these themes, I suppose, as a woman of the diaspora community, where you you feel connected to your ancestral home, but also to your country of residence. But sometimes it feels like you're connected to both communities, but you don't feel like you completely belong in either.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. That's why we're trying to install a student-led book club during the store. because as a matter of fact, we try to see a system where authors and poets can act as mentors, as the figurehead, not just to influence the students, but also to influence the education system. Because if you travel to Africa, if you go to Africa, especially in the western part of Africa, you will realize that our school system is being ruined by certain vices like cultism. So you have young people who are just of recent. I learned that even ladies, girls are also trying to also start this primitive and archaic sense of belonging by starting a cult group in stuffs like that. So I realized that as a person that the authors and the poet, the ministry of books, I like to put it that way, the ministry of books and the ministers have a certain responsibility to humanity to be the first teachers, the first ministers, and not just this. I see them as an agent of change, transformation, as long as humanity is concerned. So that's why we're trying to see how we can get authors and get poets and other creatives in the ministry of books to partner with our brand so we can have a physical presence in all the campuses. And right now, we're not just targeting Africa, we also have Asia, but at the moment, our main target is West Africa. So for you as a person, what do you think about this vision?
I think it's a wonderful vision because, as the saying goes, knowledge is power, and we need to.
Application of knowledge is power. Application of knowledge is power. Sorry, Neymar, I like you to go on.
So, so in my opinion, I think we need, if we want to empower our
Yeah,
people and our populations, we need to
yeah.
allow them easy access to that knowledge.
Sure. So we because we propose that some of these authors and poet, they will take next set of readers by their hands. Because as a book promoter of for almost a decade now, I realized that most young people would read if they had an opportunity to. That's what I came to realize. Most young people, because I've met a couple of young people who are not so good a reader, but they have a very strong interest in reading. And I've also had ones that when I met them, they were not readers, but today they are strong readers and also advancing the front line too. So it shows that if a deliberate, I must say intentional activities is being programmed to support the education system around the globe. I think the problem of racism, feminism, like you talk about in your poetry, can be something of the past. Do you see that happening, Naima?
Oh, absolutely, because like I said, it's racism is often down to ignorance.
Sorry.
People
Yeah.
people fear the unknown.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm with you.
So, if we are able to make the unknown known to people and allow them to understand those different cultures, then it is a pathway to understanding one another and eradicating racism.
Oh, beautiful. It was nice having you on today's podcast. The one student, one book, and one author mantra. Well, before you go, one more thing for our audience who'll be streaming this later on. I'd like them to have an opportunity to see you read out your creativity from something we did last time. I'd like you to read it out for all of us, so we get to enjoy your wordings and your voice.
Okay. This is the poem we worked on together.
Yeah.
They call him Little Big Man, a small soul with a big dream, scouring books for all he could glean, setting his mind on the path to the plan. The plan flowered and bore fruition, and money silenced the hunger that sparked his dreams when younger. And a good book is not a position. They call him Big Lil Man, his shrinking soul small, but his body stands tall, comforted by riches plan. Thank you.
Beautiful. Neymar, that's beautiful. So
Thank you.
you're just saying right now that the paper book or the pocket book for the boy. So you're saying that the boy has a choice to pick up a book and read past chapter 2, share a review with his friends, and build and make humanity soar. So I believe this is an inspired one, and I'm sure the world will be transformed through our network of authors and poetry and our yet to meet target readers, our students from all over the globe. So for you, Neymar, what would be your last word? Your words to authors, your words to other poets like you, and your words to the readers from around the globe. What words would you have for all of us as a community? Hello, Neymar, you there? I think we almost lost Neymar. Okay, we didn't get her to leave the last words, and I'm sure that the next time we have an opportunity to have Neymar on a talk show again and a podcast, I'm sure we're going to be having a lot of fun. But for you out there who is hopefully believing that you're going to be a part of a community that has a physicality beyond the online, a physicality and influencing the life of humanity, targeting students and authors and other creative in this ministry of books, well, this is an opportunity for you too to understand that the world can become a better place with just one student, one book, and one effort of an author. It was nice having Neymar on the talk show today. And for you who was streaming, I like to you to know that the pocket book or the paper book, that you should always go for the paper book, because I've never seen an empty pocket stop a young person a lot. But we've seen a couple of times how empty brains have stopped people from soaring, have stopped people from reaching to the next place of success. And we were on the store looking for one student that will have their success, one student that will pick up a book and read past chapter 2, share a review with your friends, one student that is able to build a rapport and become an author's agent, a book ambassador for these communities. So if you're that one person, if you're that one author, if you're that one student, if you're that one book, then this community is for you. Humanity is waiting to see you bring on the glow that loves to see us soar. It was nice having Neymar on the talk show, and it was nice being on the show. One student, one author, one book mantra. Thank you.